Oklahoma left tackle Anton Harrison is a big physical left tackle who can really hold up at the point. One of the things you notice about Harrison on tape is how smooth he is as an athlete. When Oklahoma asked him to get on the move, he made it look easy, and that's a sign of a guy who's a great athlete. He sometimes isn't powerful enough to hold up when getting bull rushed by a defensive end, but I think that will come as he gets a little bit stronger. Who's he remind me of? Dion Dawkins, the left tackle for the Buffalo Bills. He's one of those guys that can stand in there and plug and play as a starter for a long time. Dion Dawkins might not be the best left tackle in the game, but he's an important part of what the Buffalo Bills do, and I think Harrison's going to be like that for whoever drafts him in the first round.
Penn State tight end Brenton Strange was not used in a traditional Y tight end role while at Penn State, but he has the capability to handle those responsibilities at the next level. Although he has had limited pass protection, the West Virginia native had just a 2.6% drop rate in 2022. Strange shows a good understanding of driving his feet on contact in the run game and softening the edge for runners. Route running is one area of growth. He has better quickness than top-end speed. At the NFL Combine, he ran the 40-yard dash in 4.7 seconds with a 1.5-second 10-yard split. He has the qualities to be a long-term starter in the NFL, and we have compared him to current Baltimore Ravens tight end Isaiah Likely.
Auburn's Tank Bigsby was touted as a star coming out of high school, and man, he was a star at Auburn in some trying situations, no less. You look at his vision, it's there. He can break the big play. His cutting ability, one step, bam, he's through that hole. Bam, he's outside, and he can run away from you too. He's got that speed. And I think when you look at Tank Bigsby, the size isn't necessarily there. He didn't really get that kind of coaching, and maybe that was the coaching changes at Auburn, and that led him to not necessarily be a 3-down back. That's going to be a problem with him at the NFL level. 2-down back, not necessarily the greatest pass blocker, but he can be a guy like Isaiah Pacheco, a guy at Kansas City last year. We saw how much he can do, especially late in the season during that run. Tank Bigsby probably going to start out like that, but a couple years, you could be looking at him as a star.
Ventral Miller, linebacker out of the University of Florida. And he's a true inside-the-box backer. He's strong taking on blockers and is quick to diagnose plays. He lacks the speed to run sideline to sideline and struggles in man-to-man coverage. He will need to find a role on special teams first before developing into a key defensive player. He reminds me a lot of former Washington Husky Keyshawn Bierria when he was coming out in the draft. Tyler Lacy, defensive end out of Oklahoma State, is a big NFL-ready frame. He's got long arms and utilizes them well. He wins with that ridiculous swim move he's got to put pressure in the pocket. Sometimes he plays too high, and he needs to add some more moves to his arsenal of pass rush moves, but he'll play a 5 technique in a 3-4 scheme or in a base 4-3, more of your traditional defensive end. The comp for Tyler Lacy is Cameron Sample out of Tulane, currently with the Cincinnati Bengals.
Former Texas A&M safety Antonio Johnson, one of the most versatile safeties in this entire class. Can play free, can play strong, can play big nickel. He's a guy who is very, very fast. Acceleration there. From the moment he got to Texas A&M, he has done a lot of different things. Now, very good in coverage. However, his speed sometimes gets used against him. He over pursues a little bit. From a tackling perspective, not necessarily where he needs to be if he's gonna be one of those versatile safeties at the next level. So if we're talking about Antonio Johnson in a player comparison, go back a year, look at Kyle Hamilton, former Notre Dame safety. However, he needs a little bit more polish, needs a little bit more work. I don't expect him to step in the NFL and be a starter right away, but a couple years in the system, he can play at that level, be the next Kyle Hamilton in the NFL.
Parker Washington, receiver out of Penn State, is a short but thickly built receiver, has almost a lower body that looks like a running back. He is quicker than fast, excellent savvy, and smarts for the position. He knows how to get open underneath. He can drop his weight into and out of his cuts to separate from man coverage. He has excellent hands after the catch, and because of his lower body build, He can break tackles and get upfield. The biggest negative on him is the speed. I don't see him separating downfield. I don't see him in the open field running away from anyone. I think he's going to be a role player that's going to be a very good zone type receiver that's going to make a lot of production at the short and intermediate level. I did not see any returns with him. My pro comparison to him was a lad that came out of Clemson a few years ago, Amari Rodgers.
Missouri defensive lineman DJ Coleman has good speed to heat up the quarterback off the edge, but he needs to develop more pass rush moves to be effective. Coleman can do a better job of using his hands and arms to get off blocks. According to True Media, he had a 16.7% missed tackle rate last season. Coleman has a slight frame but does a relatively good job of containing the corner. He is not to be trusted in coverage. Despite having long arms to get into the body of blockers, Coleman is unable to turn speed to power. He is more likely to serve as depth or a role player early in his career. We have compared him to former NFL linebacker Ricky Elmore.
Leonard Taylor, Cincinnati tight end. You go back to his prep days in high school, he actually was a top recruit. He was a former high school quarterback and D-end. He's got good length and big hands for a pass catcher, and it's better than stats would show due to the offense at the University of Cincinnati. He shows suddenness in his route running ability, but he'll need to improve the point of attack in run blocking. The comp for Leonard Taylor is Grant Calcaterra, who's currently with the Philadelphia Eagles.